Hey, everybody. I am thrilled to have my guest here with me today, Paula. Paula helps women to prevent and overcome burnout by combining mindfulness and science backed methods so that they can have energy to live life to the fullest. Welcome, Paula. I am so glad to have you here on the podcast with me today.
Hi, Valerie. It is so exciting to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Paula, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So you already said a great introduction. What I can add is that I have personally recovered from a cycle of recurring burnouts and not only have found inner peace, but also live my life to the full without fear of ever burning out or getting overwhelmed. And I predominantly work with neurodivergent women. I'm neurodivergent myself. Although not all my clients are neurodivergent, some of them aren't. And in my work, I combine my own experience in burnout with a background in psychology and yoga and 18 years of mindfulness practices. I have now developed a unique system that beats and prevents burnout by using a combination of science proven and mindfulness tools.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, I feel like it's so helpful to talk about burnout because as women and as men, it just a part of life sometimes we get stuck in a rut. And if it's not truly what we're aligned to do or what we're put on this earth to do, I feel like, that's always a discovery that takes many years sometimes um, to reveal itself, that it is so easy to be burned out. I know I've also had some burnout, and I'm so glad that you're coaching others and helping others with that. When you say neurodivergent, what do you mean by neurodivergent? I feel like maybe that could be me as well.
Sure. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So neurodivergent is an umbrella term that includes people with autistic spectrum disorder, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, epilepsy, Tourette syndrome. Some people also include highly sensitive people under the neurodivergent umbrella. So if we include neurodivergent people, so even up to 30% of the population is neurodivergent, which means that these are people who think differently, perceive the world differently, just have a different perception, different experience of the world of life. And
Mm.
they also have a unique strengths, unique talents. They can bring a unique view to the table, as well as they have, some challenges that other people might not consider or understand.
Mm. Yeah, and it is so many people like that. That's interesting to know. It's 30% of the population. And
Yes, yes. If we include highly sensitive people, if we don't include highly sensitive people, it's unclear because so many are undiagnosed. But the estimate
yeah.
is something between 5 and 15%. So you definitely will have some in your environment. You definitely know some.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes, yes. I That makes a lot of sense. I know sometimes like I'll get too stimulated by too much stuff or like have ADHD or ADD or like it's just hard to
mm,
sit still. Like I always want to
mm.
go somewhere and do something else. My mind's always running, I feel like, and that's where mindfulness for me can help a little bit. And I know we'll talk more about mindfulness, but yeah, that's very helpful to know. Now, Paula, you have on your social media accounts, I've noticed you write articles about a bunch of topics, which I find really interesting. One of them that I just noticed was the difference between burnout and depression. Like, how can you tell the difference if you're depressed versus just burnt out?
Great question. So it is very difficult to tell the difference. Even mental health professionals, psychiatrists can't always notice the difference. Um, from a science perspective, depression, clinical depression is a diagnosis. It is a mental illness. It has a diagnostic criteria. You go through the process. You get a diagnosis. You can get medication or treatment. Burnout, however, is not a diagnosis. Has now been included into international classification of diseases, but it's more like a phenomenon. It doesn't really you don't really get diagnosed with burnout. It's more like,
Mm,
well, okay, it happened to you, like go rest it out kind of thing. But
mm,
this doesn't work like that, unfortunately. But yeah, from science medical perspective is like that. From my own perspective, the way I like to explain is, in short, is depression is when you don't want to do anything,
mm.
and burnout is when you want to do nothing.
Okay.
Can you see the difference? So basically, depression is, well, there's a lot of things that happen in depression, but basically it's like when you are feeling stuck, and you just, have low mood, and you basically don't want to do anything. Nothing excites you, nothing
Mm,
interests you. You just want to climb into a hole and wait out until it passes.
mm,
So that's why I say in depression, you don't want to do anything.
mm,
In
mhm,
burnout, you will feel tired. You will feel like most things you don't want to do, but there might be some things that you will want to do. You
mm,
might want to do some things that are restful, some things that are calming. You might want to just like sit on the bench and look at the trees, and listen to the birds chirping. You might want to maybe watch some TV. You might want to maybe talk to a friend, do some things that are restful. So, or what I say is, when you are burnt out, you want to do nothing. Actually,
mm.
when I was burnt out, doing nothing excited me. I thought like, oh my God, if I can just have this weekend off and just lie on the grass and look at the trees, I would be so happy.
Yeah.
And this is how I knew that I'm not depressed, because there are things that excite me. There are things that I
Mm.
enjoy. There are things that I want to do. They are just things that are like nothing, really want to do nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad that you explain it that way because it is like the depression is like, yeah, nothing seems to get you going. Like you're
Mm,
just stuck and like
yeah.
don't know, kind of don't have energy for anything.
Mm.
But with burnout, you have energy to do something totally different than what you're doing now,
Yeah.
it sounds
Yeah,
like.
I mean, in burnout, you also might not have any energy and might not have any inspiration to do anything. You
Uh-huh.
might also feel like low mood. It's similar. But with
Okay.
burnout, you might feel like, you know what, I would quite like to just sit on the bench and look at the trees all
Mm-hmm.
day. And with
Yeah.
depression, you would be like, no, don't even want to go outside.
Yeah, you don't want to do the things you normally would like want to do.
Hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. So not necessarily energy, but something may pique your interest
Hmm.
of yeah, going and sitting on the bench, piquing your
Yeah.
interest of just I don't know, sometimes I feel like I just want to stare at a wall because there's just
Hmm.
so much going on. I'm like,
Exactly.
I just want to stare at
Exactly.
a wall right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Which
And
probably I should oh sorry.
yeah, I mean, there is a lot of overlap. They might look very, very similar. And, some people with burnout might also have days where they don't want to do anything, and that's okay. But there is like a very thin line, because when you are burnt out, and if you are in burnout for a while, you might actually slip into depression.
That's a good point. Yeah, because they do kind of it is a like a fine line sometimes with overlapping symptoms. And yeah, and if you I mean, as always, like if you have any concerns about depression or burnout or whatever it is, like I always say, like it's helpful to touch base with your doctor, but it's good to know that like if it is burnout, that there's and stress coaches like you out there that can help kind of regain that spark or find that spark. Um,
Yes.
can you talk with us? I noticed you talk a lot about self love and self compassion. And I just love that topic. I can talk about it so
Yeah.
much with people, and I would love to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, so actually, this was one of the things that helped me, one of the major things that helped me in my recovery. And it sounds very, very kind of wishy-washy, woo-woo, what that even is, like you love yourself. But as an example, I wrote an article, I think, about radical self-love. So
Yes.
basically, what I mean is that, for example, you might get away with just having 2 hours child free, right? If you need to do something, but you just go all in and ask for the whole day kids free, so that
Mm,
you won't not only get your things done, you get other things done, and you get some rest, and you really come back fully to yourself, and come back to your family really inspired and rested and motivated. So this is what I mean with radical self-love or radical self-care, is when you can you really do the best you can for yourself. Because I think us as women, we are so used to just live life for others, to self-sacrifice all the time, to just do the absolute minimum we can for
mm,
ourselves, and to always just care for others. And radical self-love is that kind of attitude, or that mindset, when you really do take reckless demands and requests for yourself. Because after all, like, if you take care of yourself well, you can then take care of others well.
mm. That's such a good point.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just an example with the kids, but it can be about anything. Oh, I could do with just like having a massage twice a year, but I'll do it every month, because I deserve it. And
yeah,
it really changes your relationship to yourself, because you really show yourself that you care about yourself and you deserve the best, and you really can have the best, and you really start having different relationship with yourself. You start respecting yourself more, and then others start respecting you more.
mm. It's like the energy, the vibe that you give off. Like if
Hmm.
you're taking care of yourself, allowing yourself to get your own needs, then it will inspire others and reflect that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and when you are fully rested and taken care of, then you can again take care of others better. You can do
Absolutely.
do your best with your kids, with your household, with your partner. You can give
Absolutely.
much help.
Yeah. It reminds me, Kristen Smith, one of my previous guests, had said um, that if your cup is overflowing, like you have to fill your
Mm.
own cup up first.
Yeah,
And then when it overflows,
yeah,
that's where others will receive that
yeah,
overflowing. Um,
exactly.
I love that. And I know you said you just got a massage this morning, right?
Yes,
So there
yes,
you go.
yeah. That's why I came up with this example, because this is why I'm doing it as well. Like, because my friend is my masseuse, and she says, you know what, I can feel your body needs more, and I said, you know what, let's do more. I'll come
Yeah,
more often. Tell me when I need to come next. I'll do that for myself.
that's awesome.
Mm.
I For me, I love getting out in nature, and we can, talk about that in mindfulness as well. But for me, I think that that fills my cup up to like get outside, and so I did that yesterday with a friend, and it was great. Like we saw all the changing colors of the trees, and just saw a bunch of animals, and we were just really in I don't know, it put us both in a good mood where like there's still life and there's still frustration about, whatever that is, whatever you have to deal with, your stress, but it's okay. Like it puts you in a different perspective of, like like it's a I don't know. I just love being alive and in this world, and if that's like seeing myself in nature or getting like that self-care of like having that cup of coffee for yourself and like feeling the the feel of a warm cup on your hands, or like the massage, all of that can help us with that self-love,
Mm.
and helping others like you're saying.
Mm. Mm.
um, so can we talk a bit about like mindfulness versus
Mm.
meditation? Like I know that like I kind of struggle, especially like with my attention issues sometimes with
Mm.
meditating. Like it's hard for me to
Mm.
sit still.
Mm.
Is that the same mindfulness and meditation, or is that different? And can you talk with us about the different aspects of those two.
Yeah, sure. So, meditation is just one aspect of mindfulness. Mindfulness, the way I like to explain it is, it's just, we all have our stress and our work in our life, and we all need some time to switch off, to come back to ourselves. And we all do it in different ways. Some people meditate, some people go walk in nature, some people go for a run, some people scroll on their phone, some people drink alcohol. Everyone does different thing, and it's absolutely fine. Like, if it works for you, it's great. Whatever it is that you do to take care of yourself, to reconnect with yourself, to relax, to switch off stress, it's absolutely fine if it works for you. And mindfulness is really about understanding how it works for you and if it works for you. There's nothing wrong with, I don't know, scrolling for 15 minutes at the end of the day if that helps you to switch off and relax. But it becomes a problem if it turns into 2-3 hours, and then it spoils your vision and your posture, and then you cannot sleep well. So, then it kind of does the job of switch to switch you off and to relax, but at the same time, it brings other problems. The same, for example, with alcohol, right? It might help you in a moment to relax, but if you drink too much and then you feel bad the next morning, then your liver suffers, etc. So again, it might not be the best, or maybe just a wine of glass is okay. Some people say it might not be. So basically, mindfulness is just understanding really what works for you and what doesn't, and how. It's really about being intentional about what you do, how you treat your body, how you treat your mind, how you take care of yourself. Is really understanding what works, what doesn't, and how different things affect you, so that you can choose the best routine for yourself. And meditation is one of the tools, of course. One thing about meditation is that I like to say is that there are different types of meditation. Some people like that guided meditation, some people like mindfulness meditation, some people like, maybe for yourself you would like to try active meditation, where there's a lot of shaking and coming into your body, a lot of movement, so you don't have to sit still. But meditation is important to understand that some people think that it's really about like sitting still and not thinking anything, and then it can be frustrating because it's impossible to not think anything. But really, it's not about that. It's really about bringing awareness to your own thought processes and to your emotional patterns. And once you become more aware of those things, then you can then take care of them better. And that in turn reduces your stress and brings you calmness. So it's not about just not thinking anything. It's just going through different processes and different ways of calming yourself, coming back to yourself, understanding yourself better.
I love that. That makes perfect sense. I feel like when I am anxious or stressed, like sometimes I can feel like my heart rate increasing or my palms being sweaty, and just bringing awareness to that can help my mind like just kind of do a different pathway for a minute, or not even a minute sometimes if I'm really stressed, but just kind of bringing awareness to it. There is that calming aspect of it. Like I think that is so helpful just to, and some people will say, and I don't know, Paula, if you have any thoughts about like cold water, like is there an aspect of that, like putting cold water on your face, or is that helpful during times of stress?
Some people find it helpful, yes.
Okay. I haven't tried it. I just
It
keep hearing about
depends.
it.
Some people find it helpful if it depends on the type of person and type of body. Like some people get very hot and sweaty
Mm,
when they are stressed, and it really helps them to, if they cool their arms, cool their face, back of the neck. Actually, when you have a headache, it's really helpful to cool the back of your neck. It depends how your state of body is. Like some people, I know myself, like I tend to be cold all the time.
mm.
So if it's winter and I'm cold and I'm stressed, and if I make myself even colder, I'll be even more stressed.
Yeah, that's
It will
true.
not help me. But
Yeah.
if you live in a hot climate or if you tend to run hot, it might be helpful for you. Just try once and find out.
Yeah.
I would say.
And let us
I mean,
know.
yeah, there is definitely there is some science behind it. It can be helpful. It's just it's a question if it's helpful for you
Yes,
or in a
yes.
particular situation.
Yes, I think that is so important. Everyone is so different. Like what works for
Mm.
me may not work for you, and vice versa. And just being
Mm.
aware of that. And sometimes for me, like writing like a diary, like that's more so like with eating and stuff. Like if
Mm.
I'll like kind of take note. Did I feel good if I ate, this certain food, or
Mm.
how did I feel after eating this? So yeah, just knowing what works for you, and sometimes that's trial and error.
Mm. Yeah, and one thing that works for everyone as much as I know is when you are stressed, when your body is in stress response, if you focus on long, slow, soft exhale,
Mm,
that that is really helpful because when you are stressed, people often say, "Oh, calm down, take deep breaths." But actually, if you are then taking deep breaths, like doing fast inhales, then the inhale actually activates your stress response even more. So what you
mm,
need to do, yes, like inhale, but inhale slowly and into your stomach if you can, and then really focus on a longer and deeper and slower exhale, like really soft, like blowing soap bubbles, that sort of exhale, like very soft, slow, long exhale. And if you do a few of those exhales, you will find that your body is relaxing, it's calming down, because exhale is related to mm, the rest and relax, the rest and digest part of the nervous system, while inhale is related to the stress response, the fight or flight
mm.
response. So the focusing on the exhale is just something that physiologically just works to calm down.
That's really interesting. I never heard it explained that way, Paula, and I love that. I'm going to remember that because
Mm.
like people will say, "Well, let's try deep breathing," and I'm like,
Mm.
I have tried it. Like it doesn't really work for me. But I haven't thought of it as the inspiration aspect that activates or not or continues that like fight or flight response,
Yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah.
exhaling
Mm.
activates, and we talk a bit about that of like the fight or flight, but I don't know if I've really touched base on, yeah, like the
Mm.
digestive, the rest. It's called like that parasympathetic response, the sympathetic
Yes.
response versus the parasympathetic. And I can kind of nerd out to all of that stuff, but it really, all we need to know is that it's the opposite, right? I mean, it helps promote resting as opposed to running and fighting. So inhaling can continue that, and exhaling promotes resting. I I'll remember
Yes,
that.
yes, that's very important. That difference. I mean, you still have to inhale to exhale.
Sure.
Like you need
Yeah.
to do both.
That'd be
we don't,
interesting.
we don't want the people to run out of breath
Yeah.
trying to do this. I mean, you need to do both, but you need to make sure that the exhale is longer than the inhale.
Mm. And
Longer, slower, and
you
focus
said
on.
more from your stomach as opposed to like your diaphragm.
Yes, yes. I mean, if you can do stomach breathing, it's always better for you. I mean, ideally, we should do stomach breathing all the time, every time, always.
Mm.
We should breathe
I
from our.
know. Oh, sorry.
We should always breathe from our stomach. It's the healthy, natural breath that we should always have. If you don't breathe it into your stomach, if you breathing in the middle chest or upper chest, that's already like a stress response.
Hmm. That's interesting. Like that ties it into like I played the flute, and I used to do it a lot in college. And one of my professors, I have an earlier episode where she talks about like musicians and how their bodies are. And I remember her talking a lot about that breathing. Where is your breathing coming from? Because you need
Mm.
those full breaths to like express music and continue that line going. But it is helpful, like just with day to day stuff, like you're saying, like how breathing, being cognizant of how we're breathing, how our posture is, because posture and breathing. I mean, does it seem like when you're sitting up in certain ways, does that help with breathing? Like if I'm slouched versus sitting up straight?
Yeah, of course, if you're slouched, it's harder to breathe into the stomach, or almost impossible.
Mm. I feel like sometimes I need to be aware of my body language. Like when I'm stressed, I tend to kind of contract a bit, but kind of doing more of that expansive pose, which I talk a lot about, like with pride, self pride. You want to expand, but even just being aware of like that openness and then visualizing the openness that way
Mm.
too.
Mm.
Oh, that's very helpful. I mean, Paula, I can talk with you all day about all of this. I mean, what tell us about the services you provide and the things that you can do for clients and like how we can reach out to you if
Mm.
we want to learn more about our stress or burnout.
Mm. Sure. So, yes, what I do is I help women to recover or prevent burnout, and my services is really just coaching. I do one-to-one coaching privately, and I also am about to launch the group program. Although in the group program is still a lot of one-on-one work. There is like pre-recorded lessons, there is group calls, and there is still a lot of one-on-one work. So um, my program is really based on going through different layers of burnout. We haven't really talked about it, but I'll
Mm.
mention it now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, please do.
yeah, so a lot of people think that burnout is just like you work too much, you burnt out, then you need to rest and you'll recover. But it's not like that. I mean, for some people it might work like that, but a lot of people that I work with, it doesn't work like that. Like after resting, they might not even recover, or some of them they get a bit better, but they're still not fully well. Or resting and taking time off is a few months is not even possible for everyone. Some people need to continue working, pay their bills. Some people have children to look after, that they can't really take a few months of being
Mm.
a mom. And yeah, so basically burnout is not just too much work. It's there's more layers in burnout. And what I do in my program is we go through all the layers, and we make sure to remove the deeper root causes of burnout, because too much work is just it's a symptom. It's a surface layer thing, really. That
Mm.
there are deeper things underneath that we need to resolve if we want to recover from burnout
Mm.
completely and to prevent it in the future. So in my program, we go through all those layers. We make sure that we understand where everything is coming from. We remove those root causes, and we pave the way to healthier mindset and lifestyle.
Mm.
I wonder if there is it's probably interesting for people to mention a bit what those layers are. So I won't be able to go into all of them here, but just to mention just some examples. So for example, if you are perfectionist, or if you are workaholic, you will be burning out, like no matter what the circumstances are. Like I myself
Mm.
was one of them. I am a recovering perfectionist, and definitely was a workaholic. And I worked in amazing jobs. I loved my job. I loved my careers, all of them. And I had amazing bosses. I had amazing colleagues, and I still burnt out. It's
Mm.
not just about the environment or having a toxic boss or whatever. I was an amazing environment, and I still burnt out, and that's because I was a workaholic. I was a perfectionist. I was pushing myself too hard. I was doing that to get validation or acceptance, or things from other people, and that I did because I was not feeling enough somewhere deep down. So it's like there's a lot that is under there, why we do that to ourselves. So if we don't resolve those deeper things, we're not gonna, we can rest and recover and feel better, but as soon as we're back into our life, and into our usual duties, we'll be burning out again. This is what happened to me many times, again and again. I was at 5 years in the cycle, until I went through every layer and found every reason, every root cause, and removed all of them. And one of them was also the fact that I'm neurodivergent. That was, it was making it difficult for me, and I didn't know that I was neurodivergent and what my needs are. So again, understanding my needs better, knowing what works for me. Yeah, so this is what I do. I have a few different offerings, but basically everything is really about burnout prevention and burnout treatment.
Mm.
And people can find me. I'm sure you'll be able to put links in the description. So but
Absolutely.
but in short, there is an Instagram, Paula Mindfulness. There is a Facebook page, Paula Mindfulness. There is a Facebook group, Neurodivergent Mindfulness, where I share a lot of free trainings and tips, and it's like a community on Facebook. And you can reach out to me via any of those channels, and we'll have a chat. Can ask any questions, and I also very much would like to invite people, of the listeners of this podcast. I'd like to give you something special. Just reach out to me, say that you found me through podcast, and I'll be happy to give you a free consultation where we go through your situation, and we'll see what is it that you can do, how to resolve it, make a personalized plan, a recovery plan if you need
Mm.
one, and I'll give you some pointers, a direction where what could help you, what to do next.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm so glad you're mentioning like the layers of burnout. I think that is so important because it isn't about just the environment, like you're saying. It's
Mm.
this like what is the root cause? And sometimes it's hard to even get to that root cause without going through other layers and other layers because I very much relate to that perfectionist workaholic type. Like it's hard to turn it off. And wherever I go, I have this desire. And so, how do I work through that aspect and like that onion, peeling back those layers of it?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of people I work with, they actually have been through depression. Some people I work with, they even went to a point where antidepressants don't work for them anymore.
Mm.
Therapy doesn't work for them anymore.
Mm.
Anti-anxiety medication doesn't work for them anymore. They just like they just hit the bottom of like nothing is working. So what do I do? So we look for the real reasons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like digging deep into it. It
Yeah.
reminds me sometimes when I like if I'm doing yard work and I'm trying to pull like a big root out of the ground, sometimes like they can easily come out and other times they're just stuck in there and you have to just keep digging and digging and it takes time and like it really I feel sometimes like that like I just feel stuck like what can I do? Where can I go next? And what can I how can I have that mental shift? And I love how you have those it almost sounds like with your Facebook groups, is it like accountability as well? It sounds like you have that accountability with others.
So I have accountability with my clients,
Okay.
and with the Facebook group, I don't really, we don't really do that as a group. I mean,
Okay.
people are very welcome to connect with each other in the group and help each other in that way if they wish to.
Mhm.
But as a moderator of the group, I don't really have the capacity to check
Oh,
in on hundreds of people and see how they're doing. Um,
absolutely. Yes.
yeah.
So it's more that private one-on-one with you coaching with
Yes,
the
yes,
account when
yes.
accountability.
In with yeah, with my clients, we definitely have accountability, but it's very soft. I don't want people to burn out from the treatment and feel
Mm.
overwhelmed from all the things that they have to do. Like, no, it's very simple, small steps, just like really feeling supported, knowing what to do, knowing what are the little steps. And the Facebook group is really about I put trainings there. I record little trainings, and I put them on there so people can
Oh,
help
okay.
themselves if it's not really that a good time for them to do the coaching, they still can get some value being on the group,
Hmm.
and they can ask questions, they can share their stories, they can support each other. I also sometimes share some interesting information, some of my articles, or some of my special offers that I run sometimes for my programs. So yeah, about that.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mm.
That sounds like a great resource. I feel like so many people can benefit from that. And I love that baby step approach too, because like you're
Mm.
saying, you don't want to be burned out by working on the burnout.
No, no,
That's
no.
amazing. I love that. And Paula, is there anything else you want to leave with our listeners as we wrap up this conversation? I feel like I can talk with you all day,
Yeah.
but curious if there's anything you want to leave us with.
Yeah, so I know this podcast is targeted for moms. So I know it's so hard to be a mom these days. Like I'm not a mom myself, but I used to work with babies, with families a lot. I think I spent up to 10 years working with babies, working in families, and I know how difficult it is. And I just want to say that it's very hard. It's often very unfair, and you're not alone. And there are so many statistics out there. Somewhere I read that raising children, it's like 100 hours a week job.
Mm,
It's like 2.5 jobs basically. And if you feel like you're burnt out and there's too much to do, it's because there is too much to do, really.
mm,
And nowadays, like, we are often doing it alone. Like, this is, again, wasn't supposed to be done alone,
mm,
raising children. And there's a lot of also unfair ways that society treats women and mothers and families, and how I don't want to get into the whole wormhole of what everything that is hard about being a mom, but I just want to say, like, I know you, I see you, I feel you. It's incredibly difficult, and I also work with moms in burnout. So if
mm,
you feel like you are stuck, you don't know what to do, I can also help you.
mm. I love that. It's motherhood, right? Is such a
Mm.
it's such a beautiful journey, but it's hard work. It's such hard work. And I love that, Paula, saying, that it feels good to be seen and heard. And sometimes we need that. We really do need that. Um, well, thank you so much, Paula. I really appreciate your time. And I'm so excited for our listeners to get to know you more. And I'll definitely post all of your links on my show notes so you can access all of that information. And I hope everyone out there has an absolutely wonderful day. And Paula, thank you so much again.
Thank you. It was such fun talking to you, and I would like to wish all the listeners peace and happiness.
Thank you so much. Yes, peace and happiness.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you.